morning, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to TiE Sustainability Summit, the largest summit hosted by TiE Hyderabad. We have over 41,000 registrations, truly a big feat to any organizer, and in this case, it's TiE Hyderabad. And I'm Smita Mishra, founder and CEO of Pandora Technologies Private Limited. And I'm super excited to introduce this topic for the session today, that is concrete and sustainability, pursuit of greener construction technology. With the rising discussions on the sustainability concerns around this particular industry of concrete, in today's world, this becomes a compelling topic and needs its full attention. We have put together an amazing spread of wonderful speakers from various expertise. I'm glad to announce Mr. Rajesh Pagdala. He has consented to be the moderator of the session. And Mr. Just to give you a quick overview of his, just to give you a quick introduction, Mr. Pagdala is a serial entrepreneur with overall 30 years of experience in organizational management, project execution, delivery management, strategic planning, team building, and mentoring. And I'm honored to also give you a little bit briefer overview further on his detailed and glorious career. He's currently the founder and MD of Pagdala Constructions, a real estate development company delivering luxurious and affordable homes for the modern times. Also the founder and CEO of Builders Mart, an online offline trade platform for building and constructions material industry. Excuse me. Earlier, Mr. Pagdala was the co-founder and group MD of the Aditya Group, a renowned name in the real estate space. The group was focused in developing luxurious gated communities and large-scale residential developments with the best of amenities. Since its establishment, the company under the leadership of Mr. Pagdala has raised more than 1,200 crores rupees in private equity and debt investments and has delivered over 6.5 million SFT of luxury square foot of luxury apartments and premium gated communities across Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam. As an integral part of the promoter group, Mr. Pagdala has contributed significantly to the group of the Aditya Group into one of the top 3 real estate conglomerates in Hyderabad. Prior to this, he was successful in establishing and exiting profitable retail and IT businesses in the US. He established retail outlets and also an IT consulting services company in South Florida, and successfully exited after their growth before moving back to India. Mr. Pagdala holds a MS degree in civil engineering from Arizona State University and a BTech from Nagarjuna University. So I'm glad to have you here, Rajesh. Please take over from here and introduce your panel that I'm supremely jealous of. I'm looking forward to the exciting and insightful session. And dear audience, we are glad to take your questions. Kindly ensure you share all your questions prior to 40 minutes into the session. Thank you all. Enjoy the discussion. Good luck, Rajesh.
Thank you, Smita, for the wonderful introduction. I know I have a better job to kind of, do the next 1 hour to ensure that next 1 hour everybody is enthused. So first I will start with a welcome to the audience from various parts of the world for the Day 3 of the TiE Sustainability Summit organized by TiE Hyderabad chapter. I will take a minute to outline the scope of our panel discussion. As you said, the current topic is concrete and sustainability, pursuit of greener construction technologies. So with sustainability being the need of the hour and concrete being the most widely used raw material in the construction industry, in this discussion, we will try and demystify some of the contradictions one might have heard about concrete and its usage related to sustainability. We will touch upon also on some of the basic and fundamental aspects like how does concrete impact the environment, status of green buildings, recyclables and alternative materials in the industry, demand supply gaps and how to reduce them, and also other various topics. So with that, I welcome our most eminent speakers who are the CXOs and leaders in their respective fields, defining new standards and propelling companies that are large cap enterprises in India. These companies are so large that they themselves have their own ecosystem to work with regards to sustainability. First, let me welcome Mr. Gautam Reddy Garu, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Ramki Enviro Engineers Limited. which is a pioneer in the country in solid waste management. Mr. Reddy holds a master's degree in environmental engineering from United States of America. He is also extensively trained in waste management from Australia, environmental monitoring systems from Sweden. And Mr. Reddy brings with him more than 2 decades of experience in environmental engineering. He is a veteran in his field and currently heads the operations of the company, which is Ramki Enviro Engineers Limited. He is also well known in the industry for his skills in infrastructure, waste management, real estate projects, including finance and HR. So welcome, sir. Welcome, Gautam Reddy Garu. I would request you to say hello to our audience and at the same time check your audio and video.
Thank you all. Thank you, Rajesh, for introducing me, for the kind words. And good morning to everyone, and happy to be part of this TiE Sustainability Summit.
Next, I have in the panel Mr. Prabodh Acharya, who is the Chief Sustainability Officer for JSW Group. The JSW Group, as we all know, is a large conglomerate of companies in manufacturing steel, energy, cement, paints, infrastructure, and many more, just not the many more companies. Mr. Acharya partners with CEOs, senior executives, functional heads, and operational heads in the organization to develop and drive the sustainability strategy for the entire group. So he has a MTech degree in environmental engineering and has worked for nearly 3 decades in the field of corporate environmental management, emissions reduction, climate change, corporate strategy on sustainability, and policy development. So beginning his career with SAIL, he has worked and managed a variety of environmental issues from mining to manufacturing in the metal sector. Later, he managed the climate change, sustainability, and customized assurance service for South Asia at Lloyd Register, UK. And then he worked as a senior vice president for Aditya Birla Group Sustainability before joining the JSW Group. Welcome, Mr. Prabodh Acharya, to the discussion. And I would request to say hello to our audience, at the same time check your audio and video.
Thank you, Rajesh. Good morning, everybody. I really thank you for so generous introductions. I look forward to the discussions with this August audience and the panel what we have. I remain here. Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Arvind Bodankar onto the panel, who is the Joint Executive President and the Chief Sustainability Officer for UltraTech Cement Limited. UltraTech Cement is well known and is the top cement brand in the country with a lion's market share and is deeply rooted in most parts of the Indian subcontinent, not just India, Indian subcontinent. Okay. And Mr. Arvind is a certified independent director with core skills in sustainability, corporate governance, and HSE. He is also an expert in renewable energy with over 3 decades of proven track record and wealth of diverse experience in the areas of petrochemicals, fertilizers, steel, cement, shipping, glass, food, FMCG, pharma, and automobile industry. He's also an expert in the functions of manufacturing, operations, quality, HR, business excellence, corporate governance, business continuity management, sales, risk management. And he's also a lead assessor for ISO 14001, OSHA's 18001, internal auditor for ISO 9001, TS 16949, a certified green belt for Six Sigma, certified TQM trainer, TPM champion, and also an energy auditor. Sir, this exemplifies the hard work that you have put through your life, and I heartily welcome you to the discussion. I would request you to say hello to our audience, at the same time check your audio and video.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for that generous introduction. Thank you, Smita, and thank you, TiE, for inviting me for this conference. And I'm sure I'll be able to add value through the conversations which we are going to have. Over to you, Rajesh.
Thank you. Thank you. So before I take a deep dive, I would like to clarify. So even though I prompt a speaker's name, I would really love each one of you to add at the end of their talk, so that the discussion could be more interactive, as interactive as possible, and also diverse views can be given to the audience. So I would want to be more as interactive as possible. So let me begin then. So we all know how important sustainability is, especially in the recent world events and with the changing business landscape, right? But I would like to know in your own words, Gautam Reddy Garu, why sustainability, why now, especially for the construction and infrastructure industry?
Firstly, thank you, TiE Hyderabad, for giving me this opportunity, and thanks, Rajesh, for introducing me. Before I get into why now, let me bring a context to sustainability. Sustainability in the current context of the world is basically having the ecosystem and the civilization coexist. An ability for the ecosystem and the civilization to live together. In simple terms, it can be defined as meeting our current needs while not compromising on future generations' requirements. That's the essence of sustainability. But if you look at this sustainability in a very broader perspective, what is happening today is more a regulatory compliance than a genuine sustainability effort. The stick and carrot works better than the voluntary intention. That's the real unfortunate situation. Having come into 2021, getting into 2022, it's very unfortunate to say that that environment is very, very, very high on social agenda. Every time we sit sustainability in conferences like this, sustainability becomes an important thing. Environment preservation becomes an important thing. And very unfortunately, very few of us actually tend to live with it. We actually don't contribute to positive environment. And that's the unfortunate reality of environment in the country today. Having said that, I'm not saying that nothing has happened. I've been in India for 25 years, solely in the field of environment and waste management. I've seen significant growth from a day when entire hazardous waste used to get dumped to more than 70% of the hazardous waste being managed. When entire medical waste used to get dumped with municipal waste to almost 90% of medical waste being managed. From entire municipal waste being dumped to close to 20% of municipal waste being managed. Having said this, there is still a long way to go. We're the tip of the iceberg in terms of environment. If we compare ourselves with the rest of the world, we don't even compare it 1 to 2% of where we should be in the kind of quality of environmental management that we're supposed to do. Coming specifically to the concrete and sustainability, construction technologies and sustainability, we are not even at the tip of the iceberg. That's the unfortunate reality. But I can tell you, there is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for all of us in construction industry to transform the industry from where we are today to a completely new world. Today, we are using 100% virgin materials, whether it is cement, whether it is steel, whether it is wood, whether it is glass, any material that we're using in the construction industry is virgin. What we have experienced over the last 2 years, we have commissioned as Ramki 6 plants, which we call as construction and demolition waste recycling plants. And you will all be surprised that the entire construction waste, whether it is coming from digging of earth, blasting of rocks, demolition of a building which has concrete slabs and all of this, you'll all be surprised 95 to 96% of this material is recyclable, and we are able to convert this material into fine grain sand. We're able to convert this into 10 mm aggregate, 20 mm aggregate, 40 mm aggregate, all of which are useful back in the construction industry. So we as a construction industry are a circular economy in ourselves. We demolish a building and we rebuild a building with the same material. And that's the most beautiful thing that can happen in any form of environmental sustainability that I've heard and I've seen. So I am encouraging the entire construction industry to move towards sustainable products. There are sustainable products in everything, quite surprisingly. There is sustainable sand, there is sustainable aggregate, there is sustainable concrete, there is sustainable paver blocks, there is sustainable tiles. All of these products are coming from recycled materials or natural materials which can be renewed. So these kind of construction sustainability alternates have emerged only in the last 3-4 years in India. And I'm proud to say we are pioneering as Ramki in this with more than 6 plants generating about 3,500 tons of recycled construction materials and products. And they are now available for all the construction industry at lower than virgin prices. And I think all of us should encourage this. And this is by doing less than 5% of the construction waste in the country. If we do the entire construction waste in the country, more than 30% of the construction materials can come from recycled products. And that's when we will see extremely good success in the construction technology use of sustainable products. And I encourage the entire industry to move towards use of recyclables. And I'm very confident that, you know, it's a wonderful thing. Just to sum up, I will take 1 minute. Waste as a word actually has no meaning. This word doesn't exist. Waste as a word, if anyone tries to define, it always comes from a backward definition telling it is a material that has no use, no useful value. Now, if you can create use to it, like I said, 95% of this can be used, means there is no waste. And when there is no waste, is a world which is the most beautiful that we can have. We are conserving natural resources to the maximum if we are not wasting water, if we are not wasting energy, if we are not wasting natural resources, if we are not wasting construction materials. And I think we are at a wonderful position in this industry to take this forward to a very beautiful future, which is totally sustainable. And I encourage all of you to look at this opportunity. It's also a business opportunity. Managing construction demolition waste, 90% of the country, the cities in India today don't have construction demolition waste facilities. You can look at it as a business opportunity. You can look at it as a sustainability initiative. You can use them in your construction and reduce the costs and create a sustainable world. Wish you all good luck, and I'm here longer to answer your questions.
Gautam Reddy, I know Ramki and you leading that organization is probably the most impactful work that any organization could do, especially managing solid waste. Okay, and I heard of managing solid waste. I heard of managing recycled water, but this is the first time actually I heard the term recycle a building. Okay, I'm very glad that you said it out loud and very clear. And there is a huge business opportunity within this space, which is recycling a building. Okay, I believe the audience and the entrepreneurs in the audience and the investor group in the audience would have taken note on that one. So next, I have very basic question. Okay, so sustainability is generally defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations, as Gautam Reddy said. Okay. But with that backdrop, right, Mr. Acharya, maybe you can elaborate more on this. What is really a sustainable concrete?
Thank you, Rajesh, for that question. And I think you defined sustainability, and Mr. Reddy talked about sustainability, which is mostly what people use. But let me first build on the sustainability itself, and then I'll come to sustainable concrete.
Please, yeah.
If you ask questions to all our audience, and including in our panel, I'm sure everybody will have a different definitions towards sustainability. And I'm hearing for 30 years. Let me tell my view of sustainability,
yes.
which will supplement to your definitions of what you said, Rajesh and Mr. Reddy. I'm talking from a business perspective. So my view of sustainability for a business will be that we should be doing everything right that will lead me to build a sustainable business. That means if I am in iron and steel business, if all the iron and steel companies to be in the world to be closed down tomorrow, then I should be the last one, right? If I am in the cement industry and all the cement industry for some reason has to be closed down in the world, then I should be the last cement industry to close down. So that's my definition of sustainability. And I'm sure it will fit to what you stated. So therefore, as a business, whatever business, I think excellent example, Reddy Garu talked about how supporting circularity in whatever we do. I'll come back to that as an example, what we are doing to support circularity. So therefore, we should do the right things. And if you do right thing as a business, I'm not talking about 360 degrees stakeholders perspective, which you defined. So as a business, if we do everything right, then possibly we'll build a sustainable business. Now let us come to why and what is concrete sustainability and why we need to focus on concrete. Okay, let us look at some of the facts. Currently, as we know, the world population is going to approach around 10 billion. So therefore, the building stock is expected to double its size. And that will lead to vast amount of natural resources consumptions. And I don't know whether our world will be able to afford to that. Second fact is that concrete is the material which is the second largest material consumed by humans after water. So therefore, concrete is very important for human race as a consumption point, right? As a material to use,
yeah.
right? So therefore, taking these two things into considerations, the third thing which is leading to, obviously, is that what is the constituents coming in the concrete? We know it is cement and natural aggregates or aggregates, and steel we put to make it concrete, right? And all these are derived, as Reddy Garu told, from the natural resources. And it is also contributing to huge amount of CO2 emissions, which is causing global warming. And we know what is the impact climate change can cause to not only humans, also to business, because I'm more concerned about the business, right? How we build sustainable business. And we know around, that is around 1/3, I was told, around 10 gigatons of CO2 emissions come from the construction sector. It's huge, right? Cement itself is contributing 8%, steel contributing 8%. So this is a huge amount of CO2 we are emitting. So therefore, as a business, wherever we are in the construction business, we'll be under radar to manage those aspects. So therefore, what we can do to build sustainable concrete, should I call sustainable concrete? I don't know what is that term means, but let us say that how we can meet the demand of concrete for next 30-40 years, which we see that it is going to double the size, without affecting the natural resources availability. And that is where a fantastic example Mr. Reddy gave, how we can use, recycle the old buildings. I'll give another example how we are doing. As a, steel industry is a fantastic example of using everything, whatever we take. We don't believe in waste. Because I completely agree with Mr. Reddy that nothing is waste. Everything is some product. It is a byproduct, co-product, whatever name you call, but definitely not waste because it has a useful application. Let me give two examples which directly go to concrete. One is that cement. Now cement I can produce from clinkerization process from the natural limestone. But if that is where what we are doing, our JSW cement, if you see, we are completely utilizing the byproducts coming from iron making process and steel making process, which is called slag, which earlier used to be called waste, right? Now, see, we are producing almost 8 million ton of slags per year by producing around 18 million ton of steel. That all slags we are using for cement making, right? So that much pressure on the natural resources is getting reduced. Second, sand is becoming another problem for the concrete because it's naturally being sourced. Now we are manufacturing sand. I know manufacturing sand is many companies are doing, but we are doing from the steel waste again and supplying that as sand. Second is again byproduct we call GGBS, that's also going to the concrete productions. So that is how what I'm telling that every business can support to a circular economy. And here is an example how steel industry is supporting circularity in supporting cement and concrete industry and building industry, and nothing is going west. So I'll stop here for further discussions.
Mr. Acharya, I would say it's a wonderful insight. I know certain aspects of steel industry, which basically takes up a lot of recyclable materials. But at the same time, a cement industry uses a lot of slag, and you rightly put it, right? Using GGBS, manufacturing sand, all these are all technically proven civil engineering materials or building materials that can be combined in the right proportions to be able to build stronger structures, stronger buildings, right? So I'm glad to know, and I think I'm sure the audience are glad to know about how the steel industry is actually contributing to this ecosystem, as zero waste to a certain extent, right? So like I said, being a civil engineer and also on the consumption side for quite some time, I'm aware there's a lot of concrete applications that can be proven, that can be given green benefits. So for example, like take foam concrete. It reduces usage of steel, eliminates the needs of plastering, thus saving river sand and all, right? So, Mr. Arvind, maybe you can take a lead on this question, right? So, similar to these types of usages, right? Can you elaborate a little more on different types of concrete usages, okay, that are being widely adopted in industry that brings out the green benefits of concrete?
Surely, I will definitely answer that question, Rajesh. But while hearing,
please add to the sustainability definition so that our audience will have a diversity.
And Prabodh, I was also itching to give my perspective on sustainability. So sustainability I have been practicing for last several years now, and the definition of sustainability kept on changing with the context. However, the umbrella definition still remains that meeting today's needs without compromising the ability. So that Buntline definition still holds true. But when it comes to doing business, it's about creating value for the stakeholders. Now, each business will have 8-9 stakeholders, may it be the suppliers, may it be the consumers, may it be the community, may it be their own employees, may it be investors, shareholders, regulators. All those kind of stakeholders are there, and they would expect a value from the business which they are associated with. And unless and until they see a value coming out of their association, they may not remain associated. And once these stakeholders start pulling out of your business, your survival will become difficult. And we have seen number of examples, some of the business houses which were existing 20 years before are not existing today. And I can somehow relate that to sustainability. May it be people-related issues, may it be environment-related issues, may it be the governance-related issues. And all those issues will lead to the sustainability. So to be sustainable or to survive for a longer period, you need to keep your stakeholders satisfied. Now, coming to the planet sustainability, what we are talking about, because it's the question of survival of the planet, and every human being or every the biological entity, living entity on this planet has the right to survive. And only the human being which has, we presume that only the human being has the right to survive. But it's not like that. Everybody has to survive. As Gautam Garu has said, that the nature and the humanity or the industry should coexist. Businesses and nature should coexist. So that's the fundamental we have to follow. And we need to make sure that the planet survives. But for planets to survive, we have to have our businesses to survive. And for that, we need to create a value for stakeholders. Now, coming to, and why it is becoming very important. And there are various reasons. We have seen that, the cyclones like Taukte, Gulab, Yas, all those, created a havoc in India. And the decade which is going to come, these are further going to intensify. Also, you might have seen every year Global Footprint Network, they publish Earth Overshoot Day. And this year they published that 29th of July was the Earth Overshoot Day. What does that mean? The resources which were allocated for 2021 were exhausted on 29th of July only. So from 29th of July to 31st of December, what we will be consuming is something which is allocated for the future years. And that's what we are going to consume. So today, 74% of the resources, we are consuming at a rate of 74% more than what Earth can regenerate or what nature can regenerate. So with that pace, we may require about 1.7 Earth today. Now we have only one Earth. And if we continue with this pace, at the end of the century, we may require 4 Earths, which is not possible. So what does this mean? That, the survival of the planet would come down by about, it will become only 25% or maybe 1/4 it will become. So that's why sustainability is very, very important. You may relate it to climate change, you may relate it to resource conservation, you may relate it to any other thing, but sustainability is important. Coming to the building and construction sector, as Prabodha has said, it's very, very important today, especially for the India. India is a developing country, and I can tell you, I sit on many institutions. I am also a director for GCC India, and I can tell you In India, the construction sector is going to grow like anything. With the estimate by 2050, we will be requiring about 1.2 gigatons of cement will require, which is as today it's only about 330 billion tons, because we are a developing country. And while cement and concrete has been always portrayed as a culprit or as an offender, but I can tell you, while it is creating a burden in the manufacturing phase, we have researchers, we have established work, which published work we have, which says that in the use phase, it's actually offset 40 to 50% of that burden which we have created. Now, keeping that in mind, Ultratech Cement has a variety of product. It may be gray cement product, it may be concrete product, it may be building materials product, or it may be other unique solutions which we provide to the customer. And we have about 73 of our products green labeled or eco label product. There could be pervious concrete, there could be a Duralite one, and various products are available which consumes less water, which has faster curing rate. So those kind of products are available, need, and which it will help the building and construction sector to become sustainable. Hope I answered the question.
Definitely. You're right on the dot. And actually, I was trying to. I know Aditya Birla Group is a pioneer in coming up with new product lines, especially in the recycle mode. But your definition of sustainability, my take, and I'm sure audience would do this take, right? There is. Or when you're running a business, right, you talk about survival of the business, like you said. Okay, so it's stakeholder sustainability, and then you live on a planet, so this is a planet sustainability. So you have to find a balance in between. The way you can find the balance is either regenerate or recycle. Okay, so that's the whole point. So you've made it very simple, a new view. I'm sure for me and also for the audience. Okay, but I know. So now next. This area, I would want to be open to the panel for area. So please feel free to pitch in. Okay. So in India, I see the Green Building Code is a combination of codes and standards contained by state laws, NBC, CEBC, and also certain rating programs such as LEED India and IGBC and other certifications, right? There are so many things. So for you to have to explain for a common man, right, what is a green building and how is it related to smart growth and sustainable development? Okay, just for a common man, right? Can each of you try and explain? Maybe Gautam Reddy, can you start, take a lead on this? You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. Firstly, India and Indians, as we are all, our culture is very, very, very pro to waste minimization and reuse, unlike many countries, many parts of the world. And just to take some simple examples, all of us would have purchased a bottle of Boost or Horlicks. How many times does it get thrown out after the Boost or Horlicks is completed? Almost zero. We convert it into a bottle of peanuts or a bottle of rava or something like that. So that's minimizing waste, that's reusing. So both of them happen. How many times do we throw a newspaper? Never. We sell it to a kabadi wala or we put it on a cupboard shelf not to dust our clothes. That's a very common thing that we do. Look at any product. We actually are very, very good in waste minimizing and reuse. We also are very good in, we generate very low quality waste also. Just to get you back to context, just imagine a quick fast food that we want to eat. In US, you would probably quickly enter into a McDonald's. At the end of your fast food that you have consumed, you would have left the wrapper of the burger, a packet of French fries where the French fries are consumed, a glass of Coke where the glass is empty, a straw, a paper on the tray, and 4 or 5 ketchup sachets and 4 or 5 waste paper towels that you would have wasted. All of these are recyclable wastes that go into the dustbin. In India, if you are in South India, you do an idli and chutney. If you are in Mumbai, you probably do a vada pav and chutney. If you are in North India, a samosa and mirchi. After you eat it, what is left? You wash the plate, you wash your hands, everything is in liquid. There's absolutely no waste. So our mind at waste minimization is already super strong. And therefore, in a construction industry, we are already doing very good by ensuring we're doing waste minimization, reuse. What we are not good at is recycle. We do not recycle well. We do not know how to recycle them well. We do not know how to reuse them, recycle and recover materials from regenerated materials. This is where we lack. So to enhance the construction industry towards sustainable efforts, every product that we are buying, we should start thinking of what is sustainable. So what are the materials that go into a construction industry? It's concrete, it's steel, it is wood, it is glass, it is plastic, and energy materials, electricity wiring and electricity bulbs, fans, and some of these. If we can get concrete, which is recyclable, concrete, which is number one, low in consumption of lime and other raw materials that go into it, low in the concrete consumption itself, using of recycled sand and recycled aggregates into the concrete, that makes concrete the most sustainable. Using wherever possible recycled steel will ensure that the steel is recycled. Using wood which is recycled gets you better quality. When you're going for energy products, if you start thinking of an alternate product like an LED light or a solar lamp or any other form of energy, one is minimizing energy, two is using the alternate energy products. Water consumption, if we try to recycle water, if you have segregated plumbing lines which segregate water from the toilet separate, the kitchen and bathroom separate, and recycle the water coming from kitchen and bathroom and reuse it back to the sanitation purposes, it enhances the sustainability. So in every single component of construction industry that we're going ahead, we should start applying, is there an alternate product? I want to now build a footing. I'm going with concrete and steel. Is there an alternate product? Is there a greener product? I'm now putting up a brick. Can I find a greener product? 100% green bricks are there today. Can I use a green brick in place of a clay brick? Can I use green brick in place of a concrete brick? Can I use recycled steel in place of a virgin steel? Can I use a paint which is coming out of recycled material? Can I bring gypsum and recycle it? Can I use a different lime? Every single product in construction industry, I can tell you, has alternate products. Have products that come from recyclables, have products that come from lower consumption of natural resources, have products that come from better alternates. If you pick up those alternates, I'm sure world will be a much better place to live. And I'm very sure India will very fast get to this.
I see your definition of green building is sound and clear. You got to look at recyclables, right? You got to look at all aspects. Okay, so that's your decision, definition. Mr. Acharya, what's your definition of a green building and how it's related to smart growth of sustainable development?
You know, I completely agree with Mr. Reddy's view that how we can minimize natural resources as much as possible during the construction stage. But look, Rajesh, when I hear the word green, this green word are being over exploited nowadays. And it's becoming a selling point more. So therefore, it is very important for the sector, wherever we are working. Let us talk about now, we are talking about green building or, building sector. It's very important to define what we intend to do. And as you asked me, because that is defined in many of the standard what we have, like GRIA, CII, IGBC, even USGBC LEED, star rating, well certification. So there are many standards available to define that green word. So I'm not going to those technical definitions. As you asked me what I would perceive as a stakeholder, green building means, in addition to what Mr. Reddy talked about, that how we can minimize consumption of natural resources as much as possible through recycling. In the operation stage also, I look at how this building should be constructed in such a manner, besides the construction phase, in the operation phase, throughout the life cycle, is it really reducing their footprints in the natural resources, be it energy, be it water, be it waste generation, be it light, be it heat requirements, whatever. So I would see how we are looking at the complete life cycle perspective of the building and what benefits we are getting in terms of saving natural resources in the total life cycle. And that is where possibly I would look at. But when I hear the green word, no, I really get little worried.
It's like a sales pitch. Mr. Arvind, your view, Arvind, Mr. Arvind. Green building and what the question is like, what is green building and how is it related to smart growth and sustainable development? Your view.
So I completely agree with Prabodh and Gautamji, and we have been mixing the word green and sustainable, which is okay, for a normal person, who is not an expert in this. I mean, we understand what is expected by the green. To me, is a building which has created less burden throughout its life cycle, and people have been looking at the product or a particular structure only in a construction phase, or only in the segment. Their approach had been segmented. My approach to sustainability is whole life, whole value chain, and it should be cradle to cradle approach rather than a gate to gate approach or a cradle to gate approach. By applying that definition, a green building is a building, or a sustainable building is a building which has created a less environmental burden in the whole life cycle of that building. I would call it as a green building. Now, when it says less burden, means resources are always used over there. How much virgin material it has used, how much recycled material it has used to compensate that, how much CO2, embedded CO2 is there in the concrete or CO2, how much recarbonation has happened, or how much it has saved. And I can tell you, Ultratech had been supplying cement to number of structures, right from the bullet train project to Atal Tunnel and all. And each of this project in its whole life cycle will save 1 million tons of CO2, and this is only by way of avoiding the congestion. So that also should be treated as a green building. Now, if and all of it, now the travel time has come down from 4 hours to 20 minutes straight away. So how much of CO2 avoidance has happened? So that also should contribute to a green. Look at the thermal mass, while we blame concrete, but because of the insulating properties of the concrete, now how much saving we are making on the air conditioning, or for that reason in the colder region, insulating from the colder this thing to preserving the warmth in the building. It's saving a huge amount of energy. So that also should be treated as a green building. So a green building is a building which has created a less environmental burden, even if it has created in the manufacturing phase, how much it has offset in the use phase. And as both of the other panelists have said, recycling is very important. How much of concrete has been then recycled? And I can tell you a phenomena, IPCC has recently recognized that also. The recycled concrete absorb almost 4 times more of CO2 than a virgin concrete would. So definitely it provides some more better surface, for concrete absorption. So that is really going to help. So that's my definition of a green building.
So I've clearly seen the 3 most eminent panelists as given 3 different views, but all threaded in such a way that a green building, I would sum up for the audience, okay, which building which uses recyclables and reduces operational footprint and gives less burden to the planet. Okay, so it's an amazing definition. But you guys have touched upon one important aspect I know, which is the life cycle management approach, and both of you have done. And I would like to dwell a little bit more upon that. And in your own firms, right? In your own companies, these companies, especially Mr. Acharya, you work with a very large conglomerate, which diverse fields, right? And how do you look at this life cycle approach in your organization to address sustainability for performance, right? And then after you, maybe Gautam Reddy Garu and Mr. Arvind can add.
See, Rajesh, that's a very good question you asked. You know, life cycle assessment, fundamental question is that as a business, why should I do, right? Uh, so I do life cycle analysis as a business for primarily two reasons. The first reason is to understand in the entire life cycle of a product where I am weak, or you call hotspot. That means either I am consuming more resources or wasting a lot of efforts and not getting the right results. So from a business perspective, we look at that how I can maximize my operations in, or how I can optimize my operation in such a way that I have a minimum impact. So when I tell impact, please don't get carried away. I'm talking only about environmental impact. Of course, that's important. And that is one of the primary reasons for doing LCAs. But besides that, you know, it is all correlated. The profitability, the business impact, your efficiency improvement, your energy improvement. So that is one of the reasons why we do LCA. Second part of the LCA doing is to be transparent to our customers and the entire stakeholder about the footprint of the products. And that is mostly we do the next natural phase after doing the LCA to go for a product declaration. It's called environmental product declaration. Either you use EPDs, or in India, we have Ecolabel or Green Pro eco-labeling, which we are working with CII that is promoting. So that way you become transparent to all your stakeholders, customers, you know, regulators, your own employees. And that way you know where you stand and how people can, even now you look, the transparency in the product is increasing. Even if you look at the food products, how they are declaring what is the, you know, the nutrient value or what is the benefits of that. So therefore, more and more products should go for, labeling, whether it is a type 1 or a type 3. You know, mostly these two types are prevalent. Just for clarification to the audience, type 1 eco-labeling is talking about what exactly your footprints are, whether it's CO2, whether it is an all environment. And type 3 is basically when you declare, you tell that, okay, it is not only my footprint, I am also within certain limits fixed by the standards. So therefore, it is a better product when you go for type 3. So, you know, eco-labeling, which we are doing in CII, that Green Pro labeling is a type 3 because there is a standard and you meet the standards. So this is the purpose. And as a philosophy, what in JSW we are doing, we are going for all products to be covered under life cycle analysis.
Oh, okay. What's happening in the Aditya Birla group? I know we're running very short on time. I have lots of questions, but I would need 1 more hour of your time and then also the auditorium. But I would like to cover as much as possible. So as on the same question, on the same topic, a life cycle approach. What is Aditya Birla group doing, Mr. Arvind?
Yeah, so I mean, we have done life cycle assessment of all our products, especially I'm talking about the cement business. And we know exactly about our product at which stage, how much of environmental burden it's creating. We know what is the GHG potential, we know what is the acidification potential, we know what is the eutrophication potential for product. And that is helping us in developing a product. So the sum of our product, which we talked about, the pervious concrete. So if a particular is consuming more of a water during the manufacturing phase or during the some other and water may not be the right example. So we have tried to address that into the use space when we develop the product, how it can conserve that or how it can offset that. So life cycle assessment is helping us in developing a new product, which over a period of time in the life cycle, if earlier stages of the life cycle, if it has created some impact, how can it offset that in the latter stages of the life cycle? That's what we have been trying to do. And we have done the life cycle assessment of all our products.
Right. I'm tempted to ask Gautam Reddy the same question, but I've been prompted 3 times already to wrap up the session. So I have to fast forward to the closing. So before we go to Q&A or close our panel, right? I have one question. So what would be to all three of you, okay? And then Gautam Reddy Garu can start with this, right? So what would be your message to the entrepreneurs and investors who are focusing in the space of materials in sustainable construction, right? Your take, Gautam Reddy Garu first.
My strong advice would be that every single company that's working should look at raw materials that are going into your production activity in such a way that the consumption of natural resources is minimum. Any manufacturing raw material that you're procuring should be something that minimizes the use of natural resources in the world, which could be lime, earth, cement, wood, energy, water. Any of this should be minimum, and that will ensure sustainability within the manufacturing process.
Okay, Mr. Acharya, please.
I think Mr. Reddy gave very interesting example. I completely agree with that. One more advice, if I have to give, when we look at a business, look from 360 degree. Do not look only from the angle that how much money you are going to make. Because we are not evaluating right now we don't have accounting practice to evaluate all aspects of the business and how it is impacting. So that I would advise people to do, because at the end, that is what is going to take you forward. And that is what it's going to differentiate you from others, from your competitors. It's not what you make, it is how you make it.
Dr. Arvind, your view.
Yeah, my advice will be, simple. Sustainability adds to bottom line. You practice sustainability and your business will be profitable. You conserve resources, your raw material requirement will be less. You emit less CO2, your energy consumption will be less. So sustainability adds up to your bottom line. So practice sustainability in the business.
Oh, a great message. I think I have not done enough justice to the panel because of shortage of time to bring out the experiences that you guys have gathered in the last 20-30 years of your life when handling various things. But I really thank the time that you guys have given, especially all three of you. Mr. Gautam Reddy Garu, thank you very much for the time that you have spent, your views, your approaches. Okay. And Prabodh Acharya Garu, thank you very much. It's been an honor to meet you, and we will definitely touch base. And thank you very much for your views. And Mr. Arvind, once again, appreciate your time. You have a third dimension to the sustainability views that I have developed so far, and I believe you complete the cycle in the entire ecosystem. And thank you very much for being present and taking time being part of TiE Sustainability Summit organized by TiE Hyderabad. Thank you very much.